You're listening to the OK Dad podcast.
Please leave your message for
Daddy.
Okay, Dad podcast. Let's start this thing.
Can you not put that on YouTube?
You're listening to my husband talk a lot.
What's going on?
Hi, Brian. You all right?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. You have to excuse. I'm pretty sleep deprived. We've got our 3-week, almost 4-week-year-old little one, so we're just settling into that routine. So yeah, it's good.
Perfect. 4 weeks old?
Yeah, just about. Yeah. So she's a right handful, but she's
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, we're about to be in the same kind of situation. I got one on the way. So end of February or end of March, maybe early
Okay.
April. So we're looking forward to that. It's gonna be a boy though.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
awesome. So you're about 30 odd weeks, are you at the moment?
definitely. Yeah, I'm prepping for the no sleep coming up. So
Have you had any before?
yeah, I have an 11-year-old daughter, and then I got a 3-year-old son. So my daughter's my stepdaughter. I met her when she was 6, and my son, that was the first kind of newborn
Yeah.
to to 6. I have no idea what's going on or what to deal with when that's coming up. I remember him, and the first couple of weeks I didn't know how to handle it, so every 30 minutes I would just wake up wide awake and look at him. He's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, okay.
I was exactly the same. She literally she'll roll over or she's like a little zombie when she wants to feed. Her head goes from side to side and
Yeah.
yeah, sort of thing. But yeah, sort of you take it in turns, put her in the pram, take her for a drive, do anything you can really to
Yeah.
keep yourself going. Don't you?
Yeah. Are you married, Alex?
Engaged.
You're engaged?
Yeah, and then
Congrats.
thank you. Yeah, then COVID came along,
Mm-hmm.
and shut everything down. And we said
Mm.
we're both I'm 30, and my partner respectively 28. So we're like, why not just put that on hold for a bit, and we'll
Yeah.
try for family. And then, a few weeks later, we're lucky enough to
Yeah.
fall into that, and that's sort of been over here anyway. We're into our second big national lockdown now, so it's
Oh, yeah. And what part of England are you at?
so I'm live right on the border between Nottinghamshire and Yorkshire. So
Okay.
it's probably, if you drove straight up the A1, which is one of our main highways, if you
Yeah.
drove right up from London, it's about 2.5 hours from London, and probably 2 hours from Manchester as well. So
Okay.
it's not quite northeast; it's East England. So
Yeah.
yeah. How about yourself? Where are you?
I'm in the States. I'm in the United States, and down in Texas, probably about maybe 5 hours away drive from Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
But it's even 5 hours to get out of Texas to go into another state from where I'm at too. So it's quite a drive to get anywhere out of this state.
It's such a big state. I think we took I did a lot of, I did Camp America for did
Mhm.
worked at Hawaii for 3 years, and then up in Kentucky, and then up in Minnesota for another year,
Yeah.
uh, during the summer when I was a student. And we had a crazy idea to buy a car from I don't know, a really backwater Kentucky auto trader guy, and
Yeah.
won him on Craigslist. And yeah, anyway, the car just about ran, and yeah, we drove round. So we came back through Amarillo and that bit of Texas, and I'm not sure which side New Mexico is, but
Yeah.
that area. And I think we drove it for a good day. It was
Yeah, it's a long stretch of nothing going through there. Yeah.
yeah, and it was the set. You're falling asleep. The highways are
Hmm.
so long. I can't, and so noisy as well. Just the
Yeah.
concrete. I'm like, oh my goodness.
So Alex, growing up, did you have a dad? You had a father?
Yeah, we had yeah, it was just me and my parents. So yeah, not from divorced parents or anything. So they
Yeah.
were married, and then yeah, I was there as well, and yeah, we had a pretty good childhood and like growing up. Yeah, and dad was
No brothers or sisters?
no, just me, a lonely child. Had to
Were
find fun myself and stuff.
you spoiled at all, or were they pretty strict on you still?
I think I didn't go without, but definitely, if I wanted something, had to work for it, or
Yeah,
had like, or to be honest, like we did a lot of like talking and stuff. So like we
yeah,
had like a really strong communication and stuff, and that was how everything was. Like if you had a problem, like you don't kick off about it.
yeah.
You talk about it, and that's where that's been like one of the best lessons that they've taught me, sort of thing. So
Was it like that with your mom and your dad, or just more
yeah,
strongly with one than the
yeah,
other?
no, really close. They're both like, yeah, they're both really yeah, both really supportive and like just you would they both work together rather than like against each other and stuff. Like they
Yeah,
would both pull in the same direction. So like yeah, you could talk to either of them about anything really. I think that was like one of their strengths. I like they didn't they were just really good role models. So I
yeah.
can't
They really like set your foundation when you got some good parents. Kind of
yeah
sets the tone for your personality and your attitude going forward in life too.
and like expectations and stuff as well. Like it was like your school was important, education was important. So it's like
Yeah,
and that came from my grandparents as well, probably as well. So like,
yeah. Were both
when,
of your grandparents in the picture?
yeah, yeah, on both sides. So
Both
we had,
sides?
yeah, so I had both like, and they were again, they were like really solid foundations, like
Yeah,
marriage wise and family wise. So, and we would always travel for like holidays and stuff to like meet up and do all the bits and pieces. Really, that yeah, it just made you like a really close family unit. Like I can't
yeah,
I like met like I'm an elementary school teacher by like trade, so like
yeah.
you meet some kids and I go, wow, like you sort of you take a big breath and you think, yeah, it was I can't relate. Like I was very lucky growing up.
Yeah, you get so accustomed to what's other people can take for granted really quickly. And even stuff like that, we don't even see just in the day-to-day how important it is. Just the way we treat one another. So coming big from the way our parents treat each other, the way our grandparents treat each other. So it's good you had solid grandparents, your parents were solid. How did you when did you start dating your fiance?
Um, Probably 5 years ago officially. So
Yeah.
we yeah, so we met at university and then yeah, and then we sort of both graduated, went separate ways. Like she stayed up here, and I went moved back down south to London and worked there for a couple of years, and then yeah, and then we sent each other a text message after a few drinks, and then the next
Yeah.
thing had some dinner, and then yeah, we got a baby the rest of our lives together. So it's pretty yeah, pretty good, pretty good. But we've known each other for ages, absolutely ages. So
Yeah. Did y'all go to school when y'all were kids together? Or was it
no, no. So we're from a good few hours apart, so like 2 or 3 hours apart, like where our families grew up and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was just college really. So we met like when we were 19 and dated on and off for a bit, and then
Yeah.
got back together after we graduated, and that was yeah, that was good. That was
Then
good.
it was history from
Not
there,
quite.
right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When so that I guess that's 4 years, and then around the fifth year or around the fourth year is when she got pregnant. What do you remember when she first told you she was pregnant?
I think we're both just like shoot really overwhelmed. I think.
Yeah.
And then we did one test, didn't believe it. So we were like, it was like very faint. The like
Oh, okay.
blue line was like very faint. So I had to run back out to like the general store around the corner,
Yeah.
come back, and then we tried that one, and then yeah, had like a few tears, like that was fine. And then we both like about half an hour later were like, we should probably do a third one just to double check. And we did it again just to
Yeah.
see. just to make sure really. And we both uh, just rang round everyone then, and
Yeah.
sort of we've
What
not
was
heard.
what was going on like in your lives at that time?
I'd just come out of teaching, so I was going to go into like supply teaching, so working um, around a load of different schools, sort of thing, as a substitute.
Hmm.
But then literally we were like pregnant, and then everything shut down over here, and
Yeah.
it was the space of about 2 weeks, I think, and then
Mm,
and then just adjusting to remote life, and
yeah.
interviewed, and got a job a couple of weeks later, which thank goodness I did, because it was a hard thing to say, oh, we've got a baby on the way, and
Yeah.
jobs the job's up in the air. So yeah.
Yeah. So she was pregnant the entirety of COVID then,
Yeah, that's been a
right?
reality. Yeah. So we've
Oh.
had like one, so like because we have public health system,
Hmm.
here we can only go to one appointment together, and then we had to pay to go, um or we'd say it's like private healthcare, like go to
Yeah.
a little place, and they do your scan in like really like high definition and stuff. So we did that a couple of times just because we are really nosy, and
Yeah.
wanted to do it together though. And I think that was the thing,
Oh,
because
definitely. Were you able to go to appointments with her? Were you able to
we
go
did
in with her?
we did one appointment with the NHS together at 20 weeks, and that was it on the NHS.
Oh, okay.
Like in the public health sector, and then the rest was we had to pay out of our own pocket to go and do it, but it's worth it. But it's not cheap, so
Yeah.
it's not.
My
Yeah.
wife, she's been going to appointments, but that's the only person that can go in. You can't bring any other kids. Like if you have kids, you can't bring them in. If
Oh
it's the
really?
husband or the dad, they can't go in with you. So my son, when he was born, I think I missed one appointment. That was it. And so this one, I was ready to start putting in time off for work so I can go for everyone. And nope, nope. The first one I took her to, there's a big old sign on the door said, nope, it's just a mom. Just a mom can come in. No kids, no husband, no baby daddy, nobody.
It's crazy, and like obviously that you guys are all masked up and everything as well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
guessing, and they go in, and it's sort of, it's a bit very challenging. And like I was
Yeah.
on the phone, like I literally had my phone in my hand waiting to get the news or getting to know whatever it is, sort of thing. So like I was driving around, and like we rushed in, we were like, oh, we think there might be a problem, like we weren't sure if the
Oh,
little one was like coming on the
yeah.
way, sort of thing. So we were like rushed in to get like an emergency scan. Then I got a phone call, everything's fine, but I think you might be having twins. And I'm like, oh, I'm driving, like I'm like gone from zero to like
Yeah.
two lots of 100% to like.
Yeah.
And then she remembered about 5 minutes later, she's like, no, it's just one. And I was like, oh my goodness. But you want to, you can't, how do you do that for a phone? It's awful. And I think
Yeah.
that's like, that has been the hardest thing, I think. You're getting everything
Yeah.
almost secondhand when you shouldn't. And like you say, you just can't, you've experienced it yourself. Like you want to
Yeah.
be there.
It's tough for the dads right now because they just see us as, the dad. So he's fine. We'll give him the information later. Or we don't really need him right now, which, we're there to root them on. They're the ones making the baby. I totally get that. But then it'd be nice to be in the loop or be in the room when she's getting that information. So you can have that information, then you can be there for her too. It's really tough. That's the major difference that I've seen with this one. I'm not able to go to any appointments, so I'm not even able to be there with her, whether they're giving her good, bad news, or just neutral
Yeah.
news.
Are you going to be allowed in for the birth?
I think so. My brother-in-law just had a baby a year or two ago,
Okay.
and whenever the baby was born, it was during COVID, and they allowed him in, but nobody else. They didn't allow visitors, so I'm sure I'll be able to be there. I'm just not sure how we're gonna get childcare for those few days, because last time I stayed at the hospital until they let me till they told me, hey, you need to go home for a few hours. Then I was right back there, so we'll
Yeah.
see.
That's it. I just kept myself away in the corner, sort of thing, and just waited for them to throw me out because
Yeah.
there's a lot of dads in there that were just getting sent home, and it's
Yeah.
like you can't be doing you can be doing that, but
Yeah.
it's not right. So I was like, yeah, you want a cup of coffee or a tea, and then
Yeah.
just be polite and sit in the corner and smile and hold hands
Hmm.
and whatever. But yeah, it's very artificial and very weird. I think definitely from a bloke's perspective, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
When
But
so she got pregnant, y'all just had the baby, your sleep is, up and down right now. What are some of the things that you're doing to try to help make sure that you're there for your fiance and the baby at the same time? How are you kind of
um,
maneuvering through those?
so just doing, I've been doing for the last few weeks, been doing the night times. So I've been doing till 6, 7 in the morning from like
Hmm.
midnight sort of thing. So like last feed at midnight, and then I'll do the night shift and then sleep a few hours in the morning, and we'll switch over just so that like her sleep pattern isn't messed up or anything to give
Yeah.
like just to give her like best chance of recovering and like before I
Right.
go back to work and stuff. And then yeah, just and then for the little one, just whatever she needs really. So
Yeah.
if she's crying, yeah, pick her up, see what's what, make a
Yeah.
bottle if we need to, or
Are
yeah,
y'all doing formula?
yeah, we're formula, yeah,
Okay.
because we had a C-section, so it's like it
Oh,
just
that's, yep.
so I can't. It was the easiest thing, so I could do all the feeds initially and stuff, and then we
Hmm.
can share things. I think it was yeah, good decision, probably the best thing we've done decision wise. To be fair,
Yeah.
I know it's like conflicting and like people say whatever, but I think shit's fine. So
Yeah, I mean, it's people, that's a big old controversy in itself, but for if you're doing formula, it's good because the dad, like you get to spend that time feeding him, you know? So you're creating kind of that bond too. You get to hold your child, you get to be there talking, humming, they can feel your heartbeat. That's more that's more personable, I think, than, oh, it's time to go to mom, like we're feeding, like let's let dad go in the corner, like you said.
you're just a spare part, aren't you?
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
you are just. Do you think you guys are formula feeds, bottle feeds, or
I don't know. We did the formula for my son, and I'm not sure what we're doing with this one. We've talked about it on and off. I think our diet's a lot better this time around. We changed our
yeah?
diet completely for almost about 2 years already. So we've been eating a lot healthier. So she's thinking about doing the breastfeeding on this one rather than formula. So I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Am I gonna are you gonna like do the pump thing where I can still feed him later and warm it up, or I don't know. That's the stuff we haven't really like solidified yet. We're trying to just keep our eyes on that finish line right now and then try to get a room set up for him. Because it's gonna be a boy. So I need to take down the Christmas tree that we have up. We still have a Christmas tree up.
Oh goodness, yeah.
And then that room is going to be where we're going to have the baby most of the time, but of course for the time being it's going to sleep in a bassinet right next to us. That's what I had with my son. Have y'all let her sleep on the bed with y'all?
No, no, we've got a Moses basket, like you say, like a little
Hmm.
like yeah, wicker like woven basket, and she
Yeah.
sort of sleeps in that sort of thing. I think we're both yeah scared senseless to put her in the bed, to be honest with
Yeah,
her, because
that's
I'm a heavy sleeper. When I'm asleep, I'm done. I'm like I'll wake up for crying, and then I'm like, but if I need to sleep, no one gets on my side of the bed. They can give me some space.
yeah.
I'm done.
I can be a heavy sleeper, but like certain sounds will wake me up like instantly.
Yeah.
If my wife drops like her phone and hits the floor, like I wake up because it sounds like somebody's like hitting the wall.
I know you
But if cars are like driving by or something's making a noise in the kitchen, like no, I'll be out like a light bulb. But
I'm I'm the same. If it's rain on the window, I'm done. That's
mhm.
my like go to like sleep. I'll be like yes,
Yeah,
sorted.
it's time to be out.
Yeah.
Yeah. My son slept in that bassinet for a while, but even then he was my first newborn, so I had no idea. And almost like every 30 minutes to an hour, I would, if you know how you shuffle to kind of like relax and you're like, oh, let me turn over. If I were to do that, I would wake up and then I would just look over. Okay, he's still breathing. Or I'd keep looking at him and looking at his stomach and see if it's going up or down. And I'm like,
I do exactly the same thing, or like the old put your fingers like
yeah,
just
right under
underneath,
there.
and you're like, oh yeah, it's just fine. Or like she'll shoot her arms up in the air and like she's on a roller coaster. So yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just fine. I can go back to sleep.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I do. And my wife is like, What are you doing? Like the baby's fine." And you get scared after it's been like 2 hours. If the baby's asleep for 2 hours, you're like, "Something wrong? Do I need to do something? Do I need to double check?" And yeah, that's
you
then
feel almost guilty, and then you like I find I'm like I settle in or like put a film on or like play a video game, and then literally as soon as you take you want to relax, you got to do something.
yep, yep, exactly.
I feel it
Have
back.
so since y'all are in a shutdown too, it's fairly open here in Texas. In America, like some of the super major cities are on like a shutdown. In Texas, it's fairly open. Everybody's still pretty cautious. So there's a ton of the social distancing. You can't go anywhere unless you have a mask on.
Yeah.
They're sanitizing as much as they can for shopping carts, doors. But we still have yet to see a ton of our family, so we try to stick to a bubble, and there's just times where we don't have like childcare. So my mother comes over and sees Asher, but it's different because pre-COVID, my all of my family were welcomed home to our house. We were able to take him whenever I had extra time. I would take him over to families' houses, but it's hard to even do that now because people people with COVID are visiting people in their houses, and that's just not right. Like I don't know how you could do that, but where the only person my son's able to see right now is kind of like his grandmother, and nobody else really. Is it like that with you guys? I know when we had him, I was like, hey, I want to show my baby off to like my family. Are you guys able to kind of do anything with like FaceTime or take
Um,
anybody over anywhere?
yeah, like thank goodness for FaceTime and like technology, because we can see like they can see them or whatever, and we can like show her off to the family like that sort of thing. And it was quite nice the first couple of weeks because you didn't have everyone like banging on the door trying to come in. But
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a
no,
plus.
like with the same with bubbles. So like we can have one child support bubble. Um,
Hmm.
so we're with my partner's family, so they come round and it helps massively just with
Yeah.
whether it's like one of us can sleep or whether it's just helping, like even if they're feeding or like looking after my daughter, can just literally go. I can just have my arms free for a minute and just
Yeah.
relax and like just get up, and if I need to do bottles or whatever or changes, like you say, you want to like show off. I think we're probably more tired from being in and like having no, like when it's the four walls sort of thing, like you stuck within the same environment, so
Hmm.
you're not looking to get out as much because you can't, and it's
Yeah.
like it's a hassle anyway. But then when by the time you've thrown on your masks, your gloves or whatever, sanitizer in the car, it's sort of you're like, oh, it's time for another feed. So
Yeah.
yeah, but no, like thank goodness we've got that bubble, and we've done and they work for the NHS, so they get the lateral flow tests. They get the test to tell you if you're COVID positive or not,
Okay.
twice a week. So we have that reassurance as well. So
Yeah.
um, and they're being vaccinated actually as
Yeah.
well. So um, yeah, her mum is in line for the vaccination sort of thing
Oh, that's good.
because she's a nurse, and that's slowly trickling through. I'm not sure what it's like for you guys, but they're trying to get all the over 80s done and stuff by middle of February, and the vulnerable and
Oh, that's
care.
nice. Yeah,
care homes and residential homes.
it's state by state here how they're doing it. That was my wife's kind of logic with it too, is they need to, my wife's a nurse as well. They need to get, like, if they're putting this vaccination out, that the people who are most at risk should get it first, and then the medical workers, and then the general public.
Yeah.
But here, I think in Texas, it's the medical workers first, and then they're doing kind of the elderly, which I mean, I guess they can do it simultaneously, but I know my grandparents, the 23rd, they should be getting the second dose of the vaccine for it. So
That's really good.
yeah,
That's
so
really, really good.
they're excited about it. They're glad. They're like, well, hopefully, we can do more or do something else, because they're fairly old, and they've been in isolation for the past year, and you can hear it in their voice that they're pretty depressed. They haven't seen family much. Nobody's going over. And for them, being as old as they are, they're not really technology savvy.
Yeah.
And she says, I wish I could page you, but I mistype things, so I don't want to page you like that. And I'm like, Grandma, you can page me whenever you want. You can
Yeah.
shoot me a text. Like, it doesn't matter if it's misspelled. Like, send me some information, because we get busy with everything, and it's hard. People think it's kind of like a toxic trait, how people are like, well, a phone works two ways, which is good. But if you're thinking about another person, one thing this past year I tried to do is, if you have something good to say, it might be something small, like, hey, man, like, that's a good shirt. You should just tell somebody that, because you don't know what kind of an impact that has on their day. And it's something small that you're going to say and you're going to forget, but it could be something big for that person that you're telling.
Yeah, and I always like dialing with my parents every day, because I'm like,
Hmm.
I was like, if like worst came to worst, like what if you haven't spoken to them? Like, what if the last thing you've said to an argument, or you've been a bit like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
like cheeky, or like, and so I'm like, yeah, I'll ring them, even if you've got nothing to talk about. I'd rather have an awkward silence than not not speak to them and stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Like
Yeah.
like you say, it makes people's days, I think, when you talk with them, and just like you say, yeah, I check in with my mates as well, like they are, particularly like my male friends. Like, I'll always
Yeah.
like talk with them, or I'll we play a lot of PlayStation, so we game a lot, so I'll speak with my friends and stuff like that, and it's nice. It's just a break to, yeah, just
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be something super formal, or like, hey, I'm
yeah,
calling in to check on you. It's just a, like, hey, what are you guys up to? That's all it is. Even I probably should do better giving my parents a ring, but for my father, I know when I am thinking about it, I may have 5 minutes, because this morning, I just dropped my son off at daycare. It's a 9-minute drive back to my house. I have 9 minutes. Let me call my dad and I'll have a talk with him.
I'm exactly the same.
I see
Whether
my Yeah, I see my mother maybe once a week with my son, and I try to sit down and we have a little talk with her. And same thing, but my grandparents, that's what I need to work on. And even like your aunts, your uncles, family members, friends, like you said, just calling them, saying, "Hey, how's it going? Like, what are you up to?" That's big.
yeah, they definitely appreciate it. Like you say, they definitely appreciate it, and even if it's 2 minutes, it's like it's. I think people are way more open to it as well. So like
Hmm.
having a phone call rather than just. I hate texting. I can't
Yeah.
text. I hate it. Like WhatsApp, I can just about do, but I'd rather call someone. I would rather have
Yeah.
like a 5 minute dialogue. I hate shooting 20 text messages backwards and forwards. Just
Yeah. When
maybe it's when I used to have a prepaid phone and it used to run out of credit.
Yeah. It's when I set up the podcast, initially it was a thought, and it was a thought last year. And what I wanted to do was invite people over, and I have a chair on the other side of this room, and I have a mic that's hooked up to it. And I was gonna have people come into our home, and I would talk with them, have a chat just like we're doing. And then it kind of grew, that idea grew, is it's I need to have that face to face, like you said. I need to have like you in front of me. Let's have a conversation. I don't agree with having full on wholehearted conversations through text messages. It's difficult. You can't tell when somebody's
Yeah,
being sarcastic, somebody means a joke. You can't tell when somebody's just not really in it and they're just putting it up there. It's hard to see that. And so even the podcast, I this is all going to be on audio, but it's also on YouTube because we're doing this face to face. Like you said, technology is great right now. Like you're in England, I'm in the United States and Texas right now, and we can see each other's reactions. And this is more of a genuine conversation than, like you said, somebody on a text message, which I refuse to have conversations about
so,
something that somebody cares for deeply through a text message because either party can't get the gist of what they're trying to say across. Is difficult.
yeah, especially if you like start using emojis as well. They can be so
Yeah.
like they're so dangerous. I'm like, oh god, what's happening? I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I hate them. With work, they send them all the time, and I can't get on board with them. I just smiley face. I'm
Yeah.
fine. Get
Like
it
what
done. But no,
yeah.
you're right. I think I'm similar situation. Like the other week, I literally. So I'm supposed to be doing this for work and like looking into doing this research sort of thing. And I was a little bit like, well, why don't I see what's out there and have a go? And then I put a conversation starter out on one of the Facebook groups for podcasts,
Yeah.
ideas and stuff. And I think 250 likes and comments and in like people reaching out and like I've had loads of people stateside reach out and I'm
Mhm.
like that was like 48 hours. I was like,
Yeah.
what? I was like, right, so what we struck oil there or something?
Yeah.
Like what was going to be a project now? Like I think I'm going to do similar. Start literally just have a beer with people and start talking and do whatever. Because I don't think guys have that necessarily have that platform sort of thing. And I'm not saying I'm an experienced dad at all, but like
Yeah.
it'd just be good to like catch up with people and just have a conversation. I think that like my mic and audio stuff arrived the other day, so we're gonna
I know, I
start.
saw that. You
Oh, I'm so
excited?
excited! Thank goodness for Amazon. I tell you
Yeah.
what, those guys, whatever that Bezos name or whatever, he knows what he was doing, and yeah, absolutely love it. So that's all ready to get set up, and then we're gonna find some time, start
Yeah.
recording.
Yeah. Just getting any other like dads on. That's so my podcast, I have it open to anybody. It's mainly dad themed. We're talking about just different stuff involving dads. If you got a dad, it kind of like shapes you, right? If you grow up without a dad, the lack of not having a dad is also what kind of shapes you. And hearing different perspectives from all the way around, we can reflect on them. We can, put them right against each other and compare like, hey, I talked to Alex last week, but then this week I'm talking to Chris and here's how it differs from that. Or, hey, here's talking to this guy and this guy didn't have a dad growing up, or this guy left, his dad left, and seeing how there's a lot of like similarities, whether you had a dad or you didn't have a dad, and now you're a dad yourself. Like all dads are still, what's going on? Is that baby breathing or not? What's going on here? So like we do have stuff in common, whether we think it or not. And just having conversations like this, put it out and show that we do.
And and it's similar to so we joined a virtual parenting course. So we did like 6 weeks of like um prenatal like education and stuff and
Mm-hmm.
meeting people on Zoom, and that finished way before Christmas sort of thing. But
Yeah.
each week we've made a point on a Tuesday, like everyone dialing in and checking how people are and just having that conversation and stuff. And it's sort of like every time you go on, there's like that next baby appears. So it's like each window slowly becoming full, but it's been really nice and it's like quite organic. So like last night we just had a really, really nice conversation that was I think because we were on a free Zoom account, so it's like it was clocking off every 40 minutes, and
Oh yeah.
no one would redial in, so we used something else. But once we got to that, like you get to that 40 minutes, like everything was like flowing, and it was like someone just pulled out the plug, and you can
Oh
just keep you
yeah.
just keep talking and but it was good though, and like we got over that. No time barrier was great, and we could just relax and just talk and just
Yeah.
or not talk and just share tips and share stories sort of thing, because everyone is going through similar things, even if there is like you say, like you might do something completely different to how I'll do it, or have a different opinion on
Hmm.
whatever, or the US might
Yeah.
yeah do whatever, and we might do whatever, and it's like yeah, and that's how it is. But it's just
Yeah,
really
like the big entities and like the whole Donald Trump, Joe Biden things going on, the COVID vaccine, everything is so like such big parts, moving
yeah
parts, this side or that side. But when we get down to it, we're all individuals and we all have ideas, and a lot of people share a lot of the same ideas and ideologies and practices, and we all want to be happy, you know? Everybody that I've ever seen or come in contact with, they're caring people. I mean, I have come in contact with people that are not so caring and not nice, and it's
yeah
like
I've done the
I have
I've
no idea where this guy came from. But even to like talk to somebody like that, to see like what you're such a hateful person, like where did this come from?
yeah
What
well
made you this way, so I can like keep my kids away from that, or
yeah
like at least show them, hey, this is what happens when you hang around other people like this, or this is what happens when you grow up in this certain situation. So like even good, bad, ugly, I feel like at least we're aware of them, and we can have a talk with him, I think, or them. Like it's good to have that perspective instead of just shying away and not seeing, what's going on over there.
Yeah, and I think it's like I think you touched on something really important there as well, actually. Like it's important that you do have a perspective. And I think that like we need to encourage that conversation, because like there's a lot of guys that don't talk. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's similar. Like I can't shut some of my friends up, it's but that's different. That's not like you say, it goes that like proper conversation, or just even that like acknowledging and stuff of like
Hmm.
issues and shared issues. And it's nice to see, like I think things have changed. I think like technology, and I think like there's been a massive push on like mental health and well-being over here,
Oh,
and it's become
definitely.
like very prevalent, and like particularly to the point of like the royals talking about it and stuff. And like we're very polarized in terms of like you either sort of like you're in or you're out with them sort of thing, like you're a royalist or you're not. But that's by the by. But
Yeah.
like to see William and Harry talking about it and stuff, and that's a big thing. And footballers or like soccer players and like different bits and pieces like that, like it has opened up that conversation. And I see more on my social media from guys like, I'm like, oh wow, okay, you wouldn't have put that out 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you wouldn't have
Yeah.
liked that, you wouldn't have shared that, you wouldn't have put that. It might be a nonsense inspirational quote, but
Hmm.
like where's that coming from, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that it's time where everybody's becoming more aware of mental health and stuff, is when, kind of big names like take that opportunity to capitalize on it. I had Corey, who was on the podcast a few days ago, who he's actually starting like a mental health podcast talking about
That's awesome.
grieving, and that's kind of cool because like I said, there's ideas and stuff to go out there and talk, that it's not just a general like side or entity talking about it. It's just somebody like you and me, and like you even starting the podcast is great because everybody's my podcast is dad based, your podcast is kind of dad based, but they're going to be different. They're totally different because it's from your perspective. You're driving the story. You're going to be the one asking questions, or you're the one that's talking about the subject. It's not it's not like we see on like TV. It's not something that's a big giant entity telling you like, "Hey, Alex, we're going to talk about this today." And it's general, just regular conversations that we have, and I think hearing those, when you're allowed to speak like freely, just like you are to me here, you get your full idea out. I was talking to somebody the other day, and he likes the thought of just speaking freely because your ideas out there, and it's not like a normal conversation where somebody across the room is going to yell at you and tell you to stop talking, and then you're going to try to tell somebody else your thought later. Like, no, in this conversation we're talking, and your whole thoughts being recorded, it's all put up there. So if you forget what you were saying, you can go back and look at it and like, oh, okay, this is what I meant, this is what I want you to kind of look at, and this is my idea or how I feel about it. And you may not feel about it in a week or so, kind of like you said, those football players. In a few years they might change their mind, but it's all about growth. Like, as we talk and get more information from one another, like, we grow.
Yeah, it's got to be done as well. Like, and it's starting at young as well. So like, we didn't do like a lot of public speaking and stuff when we were like in elementary school, or like, well, primary, call it primary school or secondary school here,
Hmm.
sort of thing. But we would, as a teacher, like that was one thing I wanted to do, was to like encourage like debates, encourage like
Hmm.
thinking of things from the perspective that you're not maybe like akin to. So like saying, okay, yeah, like I don't know whether you should get rid of like recess or break time sort
Yeah.
of thing, and we're like, but we shouldn't get rid of it. I said, but can you argue it from the other? Can you say it from the other point of view? Can you put your opinion away and give it?
Mm.
Can you
Yeah.
articulate it from both sides? So then that actually strengthens your argument. Understand, like put yourself in their shoes. But no, you're right. You should just have these conversations, and I think that
Yeah.
that's definitely where like I think that would be my theme throughout, sort of thing. I think.
That's good. I really like that. I use that. My father is actually really hardcore on his beliefs. Like, he sticks to them. And it was something he told me like, "Hey, my friend did this and I didn't like it." And I was like, "Well, have you tried to do what your friend did?" He said he makes a list. He makes a list of the stuff that he's going to do for that day. And my dad said, "Well, why would you do that?" Because he makes a list like, "I'm going to make coffee in the morning. I'm going to make toast." And he said, like, it grounds me. And he's like, my dad said, "No, I couldn't do that. I don't agree with that." And so I asked him, like, "Well, why would you make a list?" And he's like, "I wouldn't." No, no, no. I understand you wouldn't, but why do you think he would make a list? Could you give me any ideas on why he would want to make that list? So he started naming why his friend made that list. And I go, "I don't want his reasons. I want you to tell me reasons why that list would be good." And he didn't grasp the concept. I don't know if he did at the time or later, but just like you said, like, can you argue it from the other person's perspective to strengthen your argument for it, or get more knowledge, trying to be, they call it like the devil's advocate. Like, can you be the devil's advocate for it, and then in turn try to strengthen their argument, and it helps you see that side? Can you do that? And it was something that he couldn't. And doing that's really hard, especially with yourself. Like you said, putting your opinions aside, like, that's big. That's where you're able to see overall everything.
Yeah, it's a difficult. It's definitely, especially when especially if it's a topic that gets you fired up. It's like,
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
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 I like sports is a prime example. Like if you support one team
Yeah.
and you have almost a, it's expected that you hate another team or whatever. But I
Yeah.
find that's thingy. But no, I think no, yeah, it's definitely important. Like it's nice to, and it's nice to also see like how you're like what you will and won't do as well, like how you
Hmm.
were parented as well. I think that's what like we're starting to see in like conversations and stuff. And like
Hmm.
I was very much in a routine, and we're like yet to get there. But I'm like, am I striving to get them in a routine? And I think I hate to say,
Yeah.
I think my mum is probably right.
Yeah.
So like you say, but
Yeah, you just got to keep at it, keep moving. How are you able to kind of keep looking, like keep that perspective on things, so you stay, I don't know if the right word would be open minded, but so you stay aware that you're not going, you're not so biased, whether it be in stuff like politically, religiously, but like as a dad growing up, for me, I want to make sure that I'm not in my bias, because I want what's best for my kids. And I know I'm not going to know exactly what's going to be perfect, but I do know I want them to have, like, I want them to see the big picture, like the overall picture. I don't want them to be focused on what's right in front of them. I want to make sure they're continually aware of everything going on around them. How are you able to do that and keep like an open mind for everything right now?
I think probably take everything with a pinch of salt that I watch or listen to. So and just yeah, just like not I just I have to sit back and like digest it sort of thing, and I find that that's my way of then going, yeah, I like this, I don't like this sort of thing, because if I want to react, like I can be quite
Yeah.
it can give
Yeah.
quite a strong reaction sort of thing, and like a gut response, and that isn't necessarily like what's conducive, especially not for a little one that you're like raising and stuff like that. Like I watched a video the other day of this um preschool teacher singing to their child, and I was like, what are they doing? I'll never do that. But anyway, half an hour later I was like trying it, and I like
Yeah.
and I think that too quick to judge and like try it,
Yeah.
and like, okay, yeah, it does. Maybe it does work. Maybe it is
Yeah.
slightly soothing. Maybe she knows what she's talking about. So
Yeah.
but I think as well, like, and then just giving her the experiences. So I think as she gets older and stuff, like if there's different groups that we want to take it to, if there's like, if it's going to the park when we're like really, really tired, if it's doing like, if it's sports that she's interested in, if it's studying, if it's art, if it's music, if it's anything,
Bowling or archery, yeah. Like,
yeah, yeah. If she wants to walk backwards for the day, whatever it is, like just just giving like that time to like understand why, and just I think just giving
yeah.
us a space to do that, because I think that that's definitely what I was afforded, and it costs nothing. Like it only
Yeah.
costs a little bit more time, and I like just taking my time with things, because you can be frustrated when you're tired, and like that
Mhm.
is there is no doubt that someone screaming in your ear, like it's having sleep deprivation, like, and not
Yeah.
having eaten yourself, it's like it's hard work. And
Yeah.
but you know, like that's like you say, you've got to keep an open mind. And I think as well, like we know it's going to come to an end, this like virus and stuff as well, and as things
Mhm.
open back up, like and normality resumes, like we will be in that place again, and that will be like good. But that is a very long. That might
Yeah.
be a 2022 wish. So
Yeah.
I don't,
Right.
I don't, I don't know at the moment. Like I've been having similar conversation with my friend. Like he's English, and he's moved with his wife over to Texas, actually, sort of thing. So he's doing his, I think it's either University of Austin or University.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the big schools here. It's
Yeah, he's doing his doctorate. He's done his doctorate, and now he's lecturing, I think. So
oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good school to be at then.
I think it's not Dallas, Austin,
Yeah,
Houston, maybe Houston. It's
there's
either Austin or
University of
Houston.
Houston too, which is really nice. Well,
Yeah.
Alex, to kind of close everything out as we get closer to around 50 minutes here, if you had all the dads listening right now, I always ask this, you had them all listening, and they were right in front of you, nobody was talking. What kind of fatherly advice would you tell all the dads out there?
Or I was hoping you weren't going to ask anything like that, because I'm just at the start of my journey. But I think just
It
enjoy it.
doesn't have to necessarily be about kids, but it could be about life too. Like I said, you got a really good foundation with your parents and your grandparents. You got a really good head on your shoulders. You got your fiance, and this past year too is there's been economic struggle, medical struggles. So going through life, like you've had some trials, you've had some blessings, but through all that, we all have knowledge and stuff and stories to share. But if you had them all listening right now, what would you tell all the dads out there?
I think just enjoy it. I think that's the main takeaway that I'm having. Like even at 4 a.m. in the morning, like I like take a deep breath and actually be like, no, this is pretty cool. Like just taking every moment because she's changed so much and she's almost a month old. And I'm like, they say it goes fast, but it really does go fast.
Yeah.
Like so, yeah, I think just enjoy it and just like do what you can. I think that's all you can do really, and maybe ask for help if you need. Don't be too proud. I think that's it. Don't be too proud. That's my
Yeah.
takeaway because you all need some help, and it's like if you can ask for it, then why not?
Yeah.
Why not? If you need it, just even if it's 10 minutes to yourself, we all get there, don't we? So
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Ryan. I appreciate having you on, man. Thanks for coming on. I know
yeah,
it's
thank you very much for having me. This is the first one, so
yeah.
this is great. So yeah, it's been really good, really really good.
Awesome, man. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll get this up soon so you can hear it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Take
All
care.
right, take care. Bye.
Wait, is it recording right now? Cut that all out.